64ウルトラ楽しいマッハスペシャルアクションアドベンチャーゴエモンゴエゴエ
頑張れゴエモン好評発売中
ゴエゴエ
Konami.
Let's be honest, if I were to describe a game by saying it's a Nintendo 64 3D action-adventure game where you go on a grand adventure, visiting various towns, buying stuff from shops, talking to NPCs, and navigating through dungeons by making use of items and equipment you've collected along your journey, oh, and you fast travel to places by playing a musical instrument, most of you would probably think of Ocarina of Time, right? I mean, why would you not? I did bait you into that question after all. However, what if I told you Ocarina of Time was not the first N64 game to follow these blueprints? In fact, the game in which I'm referring to came out over a full year before Ocarina of Time did. What game is that, you ask? Oh, just the best 3D Zelda-like game you've probably never played. Mystical Ninja Starring Goemon. Now, I'm not saying Ocarina of Time copied Mystical Ninja, as I know it was in development for a while, but come on, you gotta give credit when it's due. It's a 3D Zelda-like game that came out before 3D Zelda even existed. It's pretty crazy how ahead of its time it was, yet barely anyone even talks about it today. It is fondly remembered whenever it is talked about though, so yeah, it's kind of what you call a cult classic or a hidden gem. Not only is it my favorite Nintendo 64 game, but it's also just one of my favorite video games of all time. So in this video, I wanted to shine some light on this forgotten classic. Before we dive into the actual game though, let's go over a brief background history on the Goemon series first. But even before that, let's cue the intro.
The light is your guide.
Dream is what keeps you going.
Now is the time to shape your story. Your fate is in your hands.
The Goemon series was created by Konami and got its start all the way back in the 80s on the arcade. It's loosely based on the noble thief of Japanese folklore, Ishikawa Goemon. He did the whole Robin Hood thing, you know, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. They kinda transitioned away from this aspect over time though, as he became more of your standard video game hero. Most renditions you see of Goemon will be of this version, including the anime. Often accompanying Goemon is his lovable, quirky sidekick, Ibisumaru, the mechanical, clockwork ninja Sasuke, and the secret agent ninja who can transform into a mermaid, Yai. Oh, and of course there's the giant mecha robot who also happens to be a giant movie star, Impact. Yeah, just go with it. It's an incredibly popular series in Japan with over 20 titles spanning across the franchise. However, only a handful of them ever left Japan. The reason is quite simple. They were just considered too Japanesey, is that a word? I don't know. Too Japanesey and didn't have much Western appeal. The games take place in the Edo period of Japan, and there's a lot of wacky Japanese humor that's gonna go over the heads of most non-natives. You know, puns and stuff like that, which makes it pretty hard to translate to other languages as you can do a one-to-one translation. I think this kind of gave Konami the attitude of, yeah, why even bother, no one else is even gonna get it. To be fair, they did try though. The first game in the series to be released outside of Japan, Legend of the Mystical Ninja for the Super Nintendo. By the way, they changed it to Mystical Ninja overseas. Reviewed really well with critics, it just didn't really sell that well, unfortunately. And so, the series remained dormant in the West again until the release of the game we have here today. Outside of a couple of turn-based RPGs, the series had largely been 2D platformers with light RPG elements. Mystical Ninja Starring Goemon, however, was the series' first foray into a 3D world. As much as I love the 2D games, this one being in 3D, as cliche as it is to say, it just gave it so much more of an epic feel. As a kid, I loved this shit, dude. Granted, it was my first Goemon game and I didn't have prior context for the series yet, but even still, it was just fun. I rented this from Blockbuster so much back in the day that eventually I was just like, okay, yo, mom and dad, you guys just gotta buy me this shit. Financially speaking, you're gonna save a lot more money in the long term, and it's just a wise decision. Think of our future here.
Yeah!
Unfortunately, critics did not really share my enthusiasm. Well, some did. It scored pretty lukewarm to decent, with a good mix of 6s, 7s, and 8s. Considering Ocarina of Time hadn't come out yet, it was actually compared to Super Mario 64 more than anything. You could kind of say the game is like a combination of the two, combining the platforming of Super Mario 64 with the structure and design of Ocarina of Time. It's got a bit of Donkey Kong 64 in there as well, with you being able to swap between your characters and movesets. However, it's automatically better because you can swap characters wherever and don't have to find a stupid barrel or whatever. I mean, for real though, if Mystical Ninja could do this in 97, how could Donkey Kong 64 not do this in 99? Critics praise the variety in gameplay, the music, and the visual style and setting. However, they complained about the story, the dialogue, and the camera. Funny because in retrospect, the dialogue is one of the most entertaining things about the game, but yeah, I could see how at the time a lot of people would probably be like, yo, what the hell is going on? Truth be told, I thought the same, however, I was just so captivated by what was happening on screen. It's been about 10 years since I've last played it, and I'm pretty eager to dive back into it. This video won't be like our other retrospectives though. Instead of walking you through the first few hours, then talking about the various aspects of the game, and then walking you through the last few hours, since this one is a pretty short game at about 10 hours or less, I'm just gonna take you along for the entire journey, from start to finish. So, join me as we take a deep dive, nostalgic look back at this Nintendo 64 hidden gem. This, my friends, is a retrospective over Mystical Ninja Starring Goemon. Dude, what an absolute banger of an opening. It's actually sang by the same guy who made the Cha-La Head Cha-La opening theme song from Dragon Ball Z. Dude's a straight up legend. This isn't the only vocal track you'll hear in the game as well, so stay tuned. Anyway, I'm gonna play out this opening cutscene as it sets the tone for the game well. It's a few minutes long, so if you want to just skip it, there are timestamps below. As for the rest of you, enjoy. Alright, let's take control of our boy Goemon. I'm playing this on an emulator, so I'm gonna spend a little time getting used to the controls. For those of you that skipped the cutscene, there was this UFO thing that turned the nearby Oedo Castle into a European castle, I guess. So yeah, everyone in town is talking about that. Which, by the way, we're in Oedo Town. Oedo, I think that's how you pronounce it? It's just Edo with an O at the beginning, but yeah, I don't know. I love all the dialogue in this game though, it's just so dumb but also so endearing. Like, there's this guy who tells you how the house next door is vacant because the pipe maker that used to live there moved to Mount Fuji, and that statement will be important for multiple reasons later. But then a guy in another house says the same thing and looks the same as well, so I was like, wait, I thought I went into a different house. So I talked to him again, and then he says, oh yeah, my cousin lives in the next house down. If he says the same thing, don't worry about it. The game loves to mess with the player and take tropes you've seen a lot and either acknowledge them in a humorous way or just make fun of them altogether. So yeah, well, this really wasn't an example, there are a lot of fourth wall breaks. Anyway, this is such a perfect first little area. It shows us we can swim, collecting these coins gives us money, and yeah, it's just really cozy. Oh, let's admire the menu screen real quick. Man, so simple, but what a vibe. What's also kind of a vibe is this, this crawling animation. I mean, how can you not laugh seeing this? Honestly, I did this for way longer than I had any right to. Ibisumaru's is pretty good too, but I do like Goemon's better. Oh yeah, we can swap between these two with the click of a button. It's nice. Anyway, with all this crawling around women and children, I feel like I'm about to be put on some list or something, so let's check out the rest of town. Going out this exit, we got this lowlife trying to steal some coins from us, so we give him the old whack-a-mole. Oh yeah, Goemon's weapon is a pipe. Yeah, like a smoking pipe. Speaking of getting piped, let's go visit Goemon's girlfriend. God, that was kind of cringe, sorry. Omitsu is Goemon's longtime series love interest and works at the coffee shop in town. She seems to be quite popular as well. She'll pop up on occasion throughout the game, but overall, she's really not like a huge character. I do like her theme a lot though. It's pretty chill. By the way, the track I was playing a bit ago only plays in Oedo Town the first time starting the game. When you revisit here later, a different song plays instead. Anyway, let's check out the various shops the town has to offer. First there's a restaurant, and getting some food here refills our hearts immediately. Then there's another food place, however, these ones instead refill our hearts upon dying. Then there's the equipment shop where we can, well, buy some equipment to tank some hits. I'm gonna buy something now because why not, but honestly, I don't really use too much of this stuff throughout the game because it's already pretty easy and you get a lot of hearts later on. Well, if you explore around, that is. And we will do that now actually. In another part of town, we find a silver fortune doll. Think of these as heart pieces in Zelda. Collect 4 of them and you permanently increase your health. This is obviously just the first of many. By the way, this swimming animation is a bit slow. Thankfully, this issue is rectified later on thanks to Yai, but for now...
So, how do you like my swimming?
You better get used to that Golden Boy pace. Oedo Town is actually quite big and can be a little confusing to get around at first. This guard gives us directions though, and well, when he's not doing some movie reference that is. And that's a thing you'll come to learn in this game. Talking to people can really help a lot if you're ever lost on where to go. The game makes this quite clear as well. And if you ever get really lost, you can just visit the fortune teller, aka Plasma Man. Who the hell is Plasma Man, you ask? Well, unlike him, let's show and not tell. This dude is certainly a dude. Alright, I guess he is actually, I don't even really know. But yeah, you see what I was talking about this game being really Japanesey? Perfect example right here. He tells us we need to go to the Kai Highway, then Mount Fuji, so let's do that. Oedo Castle is currently inaccessible because of the star blocks requiring a chain pipe, hence why we need to see the pipe maker in Mount Fuji. But first, let's save at the inn. I didn't mention the inn earlier, but yeah, you can save here and rest here to recover hearts. How many hearts exactly depends on the room. The more Rio you spend, by the way that's what money is called in this game, the more hearts you recover. Alright, let's finally make our way to the Kai Highway. First of all, what a bop. This track is so catchy, dude. As far as gameplay goes, it's pretty basic right now. Our standard attack doesn't have much range, but the hitboxes are pretty generous and it's easy to connect. You can also use Rio as a projectile as well, and you'll see me doing this in the first dungeon. By the way, these doll-like enemies, you better get used to seeing them. This and all of its variations are probably the most common enemy type in the game. Yeah, pretty weird, I know. It just adds to the wacky feel this game has. Oh yeah, as little dumplings enemies drop, restore HP. The colorful ones only restore a bit, but the golden dumplings restore all of your health. We'll see those later. This was my introduction to dumplings as a kid though, and man, I just wanted to eat this shit, dude, it looks so good. What goes good with dumplings is coffee, so let's check out this nearby coffee house. We can buy some food here. This guy tells us about Impact, the huge American movie star. But the most important thing here is getting a map. Well, I say it's important, but I don't ever really use it, actually. It's not a massive world, and once you unlock fast travel, it's pretty easy to get around. Alright, with that, let's head to Mount Fuji. Let's first grab a quick silver fortune doll on the way though. This part always seems so much bigger as a kid, but yeah, it's not really that large of a mountain. It takes like not even 5 minutes to trek all the way up. On the way up, we do find another silver fortune doll. At the halfway point up, there's like these slinky-like enemies that always stuck out to me. Upon making it to the top, we meet Mokube, the pipe maker. He gives us a chain pipe, which allows us to connect to the star blocks I mentioned earlier, and it also attacks from a pretty good distance. This is a top tier weapon that I'll be using a lot throughout the game. Anyway, now that we have the chain pipe, let's go back to the castle. Using it to cross, let's snag a silver fortune doll real quick. Alright, now that we got 4, we got an extra heart. The chain pipe can feel a little janky at first, but as long as you're the proper distance, it is reliable and easy to use. After making it to the end, we have a couple more screens to get to the castle. Pretty groovy little tune here. Alright, and so begins the first of 5 dungeons in the game. First of all, banger of a song. One of the best tracks in the game, for sure. As you can probably guess, being the first dungeon, it's not too difficult. Or difficult at all, actually. These star blocks require a jump to reach, so that's something. This is where Mystical Ninja most differs in its dungeon design from Zelda. While Zelda dungeons are all about combat and puzzles, Mystical Ninja dungeons are about combat and platforming. This is honestly a big reason that while I do love both Ocarina of Time and Mystical Ninja, I do love Mystical Ninja a bit more. I'm just a platformer over puzzle guy. The platforming never really gets super hard, but it is fun enough to keep things engaging. Combat is pretty similar. It takes the platformer approach with you being able to deal with enemies in one hit, keeping the pace fast and fun. Some bigger enemies require multiple hits, however you do strengthen your weapons throughout the game, which allows you to take these out quicker. And okay, I should probably take this moment to address the elephant in the room. The camera in this game is not great. The critics were definitely right about that. From a gameplay standpoint, it's the part that's easily aged the worst. There's no button to orientate yourself, as the camera will just try to catch up to whatever direction you're facing. So when you're in the heat of battle moving around a lot, it doesn't really work that well, as you can see here. Like I said earlier, the game is quite easy, so this doesn't make it unplayable by any means. It doesn't even really get in the way that much, but just on occasion, it can get a little annoying. Time to address another elephant in the room. Mr. Elephant, he's in this room here. This allows you to see a map of the dungeon. Pretty helpful. Then there's Mr. Arrow. He shows you where the boss is at. Not as helpful. Like, cool, I know where it's at, but I still gotta find the key to actually get in, you know? Oh yeah, you get keys by defeating rooms of enemies, completing platforming challenges, and yeah, typical Zelda stuff. There will be silver keys, gold keys, and diamond keys. Diamond keys being the boss keys. Usually, at least. For whatever reason, there's not a diamond key in this first dungeon. Before we face the boss though, check out these little dumpling enemies. These are adorable. Same with these little ninja guys. This might be the only ninja variation we get in the game, meanwhile we get like 10 of those doll things, but that's Goemon for you. Anyway, right before the boss we get stopped by this dude named Baron, one of the mysterious individuals from the opening cutscene. He says he wants to turn Oedo into a stage, I guess? As if the game didn't make it obvious enough it's not supposed to be taken seriously, there's even a laugh track. Man, you gotta love this game. Okay, the first boss is the first boss. It's pretty damn easy. I mean, what'd you expect? You just pipe him in the chin and either jump over his attack or move around his attack. I like how we can see it gradually getting destroyed the more damage we do. After a couple minutes of whacking away, the dude goes down. Or I guess up in flames. For our reward, we get the Miracle Moon, an item that won't make any sense until the last 10% of the game. Talking to the Lord and Princess Yuki, we find out the castle was hit by a, instant stage beam or something, which transformed it, I guess? I don't know. Yeah, story's a little wacky. The Lord asks us to put a stop to these guys, and I decline at first just to test the dialogue. Of course, he won't take no for an answer, so alright, time to go be a hero. We're granted the Super Pass so we can leave from the other gate in town. I like these gatekeepers' dialogue after they open the gate. They saw that fourth wall and were like, yo, fuck this shit, I'm breaking it. Man, going out to this next area, I really appreciate the ambiance here. There's no music, just ambient nature sounds. After all the action and high energy music, it's a nice and quiet moment of reflection. I think it's supposed to be a beach, but yeah, it's pretty small. There's a metal crate on the left preventing access, so let's just snag this silver fortune doll real quick, then go to the tunnel on the right. By the way, I'm not going to mention every fortune doll I see, especially because I missed some the first time around and have to come back for them later, but yeah, I'll point them out here and there. The tunnel is quite short, we just massacre some dolls for about a minute and we're already through. On the other side, we have a small field and a steep-ass hill / cliff to climb. I like Goemon's sliding down animation. He just embraces it and is along for the ride, it's great. Once we get to the top, let's take a moment to admire the view. Nice. Oh yeah, you see what I mean, how the camera will just catch up to whatever direction you're facing? It's serviceable, but, you know, barely. You got a nice little vibe on this trail though. I dig it. But wait, what's this?
Ooh.
Aw, dude, this frickin' guy again. I guess he blew up Wiseman's house, which is like the Master Roshi-like character in this universe, so yeah, Goemon is not happy. This next scene I'm gonna play out, and longtime fans, yeah, you guys know what's coming. For all you newcomers though, I'm gonna say the details till afterwards. For now, enjoy the show. Dude, what a legendary song. Imagine being like 8 years old and watching this for the first time without knowing anything about Japanese culture. The translated lyrics are kind of ridiculous, but I mean that in the best way possible. It sorta has like those Let's Fighting Love from South Park vibes, and I absolutely love it for that. If you watch anime, specifically older anime, this voice will probably sound familiar to you. It's none other than Ishiro Mizuki. He's like the king of anime songs and is known as Aniki, meaning Big Brother in Japan. He has over 1,000 theme songs to his name. It's insanely impressive. He did specialize in mecha anime, so him doing the theme song for Impact is very fitting. Sadly, he did pass away a couple years ago though, so RIP to the legend. Anyway, before the actual fight starts, we have a little minigame of sorts here. The goal of this is to hit enemies to collect as much Ryo as you can for the next fight. You can't die here, so it's no stress. Well, for us at least, we're kinda just committing genocide on innocent villages here, but oh well. Alright, we got the first giant robot fight of the game. Honestly, this fight walled me as a kid. I remember the first time I rented the game, I could not beat this dude. To give my younger self some credit, the game doesn't really explain the controls. Like, at all, actually. You're left to figure everything out on your own. Some of it's pretty self-explanatory. We have a faster, weaker punch, a slower, stronger punch. We can throw Ryo. We can gain Ryo back by hitting enemy attacks, and we can also use a chain pipe to grab onto the enemy. However, I didn't learn that until the last robot fight of the game, so yeah, I don't use it here. After this, things kinda get confusing. I know it's possible to kick because I did sometimes by accident, but I don't know how I triggered it. I know you can do a fast flurry of punches as well, as I've seen it in some videos, but again, I couldn't figure out how to do it. I know I could have just looked this stuff up online, but I was trying to see if I could figure out how to do it on my own in the game naturally. And unfortunately, I could not. Maybe I'm just dumb, maybe the game could explain it a little better, or maybe a little bit of both. Anyway, after whittling away for a while, we finally knock him out with one last super punch. Impact says he's gotta go film a movie in America, but just to call on him anytime we need him. Alright, let's now go to the next town. Before we can enter, we're stopped by a mysterious individual. Enter Yai, the secret agent ninja. Guys, I gotta be honest, I fucking love Yai. She's just so cool and mysterious, and I love her design. That purple and green combo, dude, so iconic. I guess she's been looking into that UFO that was by Oedo Town. I like how even the narrator chimes in here. According to her investigations, the group behind it is called the Peach Mountain Shoguns. I don't know why, but I always thought this name sounded really cool as a kid. Apparently Goemon doesn't think so though, as he makes some knee-slapping dad jokes. Reminds me of how my dad would call restaurants like Mr. Good Cents, Mrs. Bad Dollars, and stuff like that. Anyway, since we both have the same goals right now, we agree to team up. I'm just gonna say this now, you better get used to seeing Yai, cause I'm gonna be using her a lot the rest of the game. Well, at least until I get Sasuke, I use him a lot too. Goemon's probably better from a gameplay standpoint because he has range, whereas Yai doesn't get range till much later, and even then it's not as fast as Goemon's. But I've already told you guys, I just fucking love Yai. This may be Goemon's game, but we're living in a Yai world right now. Alright, so we're now in Zazen Town, my favorite town in the game. The vibes here are just immaculate, dude. The relaxing music, the beautiful amber sky, it's just so perfect. It stays relevant throughout the entire game too, which I love to see. It's probably the town you visit most often actually. It leads to various regions on the world map, and even some parts in town can't be accessed till later in the game. But yeah, I hate it when games introduce a cool town just to barely visit it once then never again. Mystical Ninja handles this well. It still makes the world feel big with you constantly traversing across new areas, while simultaneously creating a sense of familiarity by revisiting previous towns for new plot reasons. It's some good stuff. Talking to the townspeople, apparently kids with dancing talent have been getting kidnapped. Huh, okay. That will resurface in a bit. Talking to this other guy over here, he says how different regions and therefore different towns will have different foods available, so let's check out the restaurant here. Okay, so they're selling these rice crackers here, and the girl says how the Yamato deer love them. I can 100% confirm that. Yamato is actually a real-life place that is now known as Nara. And yeah, we went to Nara last month and fed the deer ourselves. Look at us here. They bow when you feed them. So cool. They maybe like the crackers a little too much though, as they kinda swarmed me here. Anyway, I bring all this up to say that the Ganbare Goemon series, by the way that's the full name, I never said that earlier, is really accurate to real life Japan. I mean, obviously, I guess I'm kinda just being Captain Obvious here. I just think it's really cool though. Where we're going next is a perfect example of this. This guy Benkei is blocking this bridge and won't let us pass. He wants some treasure, I guess, that which we don't have. This dude is actually named after a real-life Japanese warrior who famously guarded a bridge to his death. Even more famous was his pose upon dying, as he died standing straight up. His opponents didn't even know he was dead for a while. By the way, in our Brave Fencer Musashi retrospective, there's a character named Ben who dies standing up, and I remember I made a comment being confused about that, to which someone else commented, isn't that just a reference to Benkei in real life? Yes it is. I was uncultured then, but now I know. Anyway, back to the story. What he was guarding on the bridge was his lord Minamoto no Yoshitsune, also known by his childhood name, Ushiwakamaru. I bring all this up to say, guess who in the game is gonna help us get past Benkei? Ushiwaka. Okay, so his role in the game here is very different compared to his real-life relationship with Ben-K, but you know, still, pretty cool I guess. Was there really a point to this story? Not really, I guess. But hey, at least you got a little history lesson and some education. Now you can take away something from this instead of just feeling like you wasted an hour of your life listening to some idiot ramble about and overhype some 25-year-old game on YouTube. Anyway, in order to help us, Ushiwaka wants us to catch some fish for him. We have to find different colors depending on what he asked for. It's incredibly easy, you just run into the fish to catch them with no penalty for running into the wrong color. There's no skill whatsoever involved, but just casually strolling down Duck Stream with the relaxing Zazentown music, it's a pretty peaceful vibe. After finishing up, he gives us an item called the Achilles heel, which is like a barrel or something, I guess. We then go back to Ben-K, and now we're in some mini-game where we have to throw the said barrel at him. We have to time our throws right when he's landing, or else we'll just jump over it. We do this 3 times, and Ben-K concedes defeat. Kind of a letdown in the real life, Ben-K. I mean, that dude guarded a bridge to his death. What are you doing? The narrator says how the Achilles heel was Ben-K's weakness, to which Ibisumaru chimes in and says, I feel like something fishy is going on here, and yeah, I feel like something got lost in translation here. There's all the elements for a good joke in there, it just doesn't really make sense. I get that Achilles heel means weakness, I get that we had a fish to get said Achilles heel, I just don't get how they all tie together. Like, where does this barrel/log thing come into play, and how is it an Achilles heel? And how does it tie into fish? No point in pondering that, I guess, but anyway, in addition to letting us pass, Ben-K also gives us the body of our mechanical friend Sasuke. Yeah, just the body. He's out of batteries right now, so we can't use him. I guess he fell down from the sky the other day and this dude found him. He is one of Wiseman's inventions, so it could be related to his house getting blown up. Guess we'll see. Alright, we are now in Yamato. This is probably my favorite track in the game, dude, it's so good. This whole area in general, actually, one of the best vibes of the game. Actually, you know what, I'm even gonna take that a step further. This whole stretch of the game, starting with Zazentown and ending with the next dungeon, is my favorite stretch in the entire game. Not necessarily from a gameplay standpoint, even though it is really fun too, but just from the atmosphere and the vibes, honestly. The sense of adventure and the exploration is also really good too. Like, I don't think I'm supposed to be able to jump on here because there's really nothing on here to get. However, just the fact that I can is pretty cool. The shrine itself is closed though, so we'll come back in just a bit. While we got a cool atmosphere, I want to take this moment to appreciate some of the animations. Like the whole "oh shit I'm about to fall" animation. Each character has 3 unique variations. One from the front, one from the side, and one from the back. The developers didn't have to do this, so hats off to them. I like the idle animations a lot too. If we take too long to move, Goemon shows his patience, getting visibly tested. Oh yeah, he does a little pose too. Ibisumaru will eventually take a nap, and Yai will do her makeup and flip her hair. Gotta love that class and sass. Oh yeah, I know we don't have Sasuke yet, but let's fast forward to his. He sips tea. It's great. The game is just charming as hell, and little stuff like this definitely adds to it. Alright, enough idling around, let's move on. There's 2 paths we can go, so let's take the bamboo forest on the left. Yup, another place based on real-life Japan. The Arashiyama Bamboo Forest in Kyoto is the main one that everyone thinks of, but as someone who's been to both, I would actually recommend the Bamboo Forest in Fushimi Inari instead. It's kind of off the main path of the gates, so not that many people go there. It was a very naturey and peaceful vibe. I liked it better than the one in Arashiyama personally. Now the Bamboo Forest in this game, it's pretty small, it's like one screen. On the other side, we are now in Awaji Island. Another spot with ambient nature sounds. Man, I love this atmosphere. When you turn the corner and see that amber sunset and that house on the cliff in the sea, mwah, chef's kiss. Oh yeah, I guess I really haven't talked about how Yai controls yet. Well, she gets more moves later, but right now, all she has is a sword attack. It does have a 3-hit combo though. It makes a really satisfying sound effect when it slices into enemies too. The house on the cliff is where we advance the story, but we got some other stuff we gotta do first. Let's peep into the coffee house real quick. This girl tells us about the Oedo Tourist Center and then makes a, sex joke, I guess. Yeah, good one. This old guy tells us about some turtle stones, which brings us to where we gotta go next. Going back to Yamato and taking the other path, we're now in another bamboo forest. This one, though, comes to a dead end with a stone on a platform. That's a turtle stone. If we push the stone in each of these 4 corners, something different happens with each one. These signs tell us what each one does, which kind of takes away the mystery, but oh well. One side gives us a silver fortune doll, another gives us a bunch of Rio, one takes us to another land apparently, and the last one unlocks the Yamato Shrine. Let's do that one now, we'll come back for the last one. I love Yai's pushing animation. Those thick-ass eye lines are so cute. I think the game kinda glitched a bit when it transported me to the shrine and she kept that face for like another 5 seconds. Inside the shrine, we just got one giant room with some platforming. Oh yeah, I meant to say this earlier. I like how you can jump onto ladders instead of having to start from the bottom. It's a very small detail, but I always appreciate it when games let you do this. At the very top, we come across a surprise pack. This gives us an extra life. I guess I never mentioned it, but yeah, there are lives in this game. Pretty sure if you game over, you just start from your last save point, so not a big deal. Before jumping back down, we have another silver fortune doll to grab. Okay, now we can jump back down. Oh yeah, there's no fall damage in this game. I do appreciate that. By the way, I know I missed a fortune doll back there, I come back later for it. Alright, after pushing the turtle stone into the last corner, we are now back on Awaji Island. But now, there's a red gate here. So, let's go through. Okay, now we're on a random boat in the middle of nowhere. Guys, I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but, dude, just the vibes here. There's just something so serene and calming about hearing the waves and the seagulls and looking out into the distance into this low-poly N64 ocean. It's like the little things in gaming, you know? Some people might teleport here and immediately jump off to go to the next objective, but sometimes you just gotta slow down and appreciate the vibes. Alright, cool, that was therapeutic. Let's move on. This sign says we're at the husband and wife rocks, which intrigued me, so I had to look it up. Yeah, it's a real rock formation and it looks very similar to the one in the game. Pretty cool. Alright, let's make our way up this little hill, I guess. I don't really know what to call it. Once we get to the top, there's a silver fortune doll waiting for us. This gate brings us back to Awaji Island, but alright, just wait a second. I feel like I can get a really cool shot here. Alright, come on. Just gotta find the right angle, get the camera to cooperate with me. There we go. That's it. That's the stuff right there. This is peak low poly vibe perfection. When I look deep in thought and my totally real and definitely not made up for the story girlfriend asks me what I'm thinking about, this right here. Alright, let's finally go to that house on the cliff. This is the Oedo Tourist Center. This machine here can teleport us to a dragon, and that dragon can then take us to the Shikoku region. Wait, why does it work like that? If it has the power to teleport, why can't it just teleport us straight there? What's the point of the dragon? I literally just now thought of this. Anyway, I guess the dragon's been going out of control and we can't even ride on it right now. The lady asked us if we can take care of it, so why not? Nice spelling of business there. We hop in the machine and we are now on the back of a dragon. This is a really cool set piece. Super memorable too. I feel like when trying to describe this game, people would be like, what was that one N64 game where you fight in a giant robot and there's that one level where you fight on the back of a dragon, and I feel like it's that level of memorable. As far as the actual level goes, it's kinda janky as fuck, dude, I'm not gonna lie. The depth perception is just really weird and does not work. Once we get to the end, we find out what's been wrong with the dragon. There's been this machine controlling it. It's a member of the Peach Mountain Shoguns and has been using the dragon to kidnap the children with dancing talent. We can't be having that now, so let's kick this dude's ass. And that is not hard to do. He's the easiest boss fight in the game by far. Well, I guess he doesn't get a cool boss intro screen, but story-wise, he feels like a boss. But yeah, his pattern doesn't change the entire time, and he's kind of a joke. I will say, the non-impact boss fights in this game are not that well designed. From a gameplay standpoint, it might be one of the weaker aspects about this game actually. Oh well, even the greats have a miss here and there. With one last whack, the dude finally goes down. And the dragon too. Oh yeah, and us also. Man, between the beautiful scenery and the intro to this song, what an entrance here. This track only plays once in the entire game, but it's another favorite of mine. Anyway, this is Koryuta. He's the son of a dragon god in the dragon we were just on. He actually first appeared in the second Goemon RPG for the Famicom as a playable character, so it's cool to see him come back. He was hypnotized by the Peach Mountain Shoguns and did some other dirty work kidnapping children for them. He feels really bad about it though, so we have to do a little bit of reassurance like, hey buddy, it's not your fault. You were hypnotized. We ask him if he remembers where he took the children to, and he does, the Dogo Hot Springs. And yes, as you probably guessed, another place based on real-life Japan. The real Dogo Onsen is in Shikoku as well, so that's pretty cool. Koryuta also gives us a flute to call upon him in dragon form anytime we need him. This lets us fast travel to towns, dungeons, and coffee shops. Very, very helpful. I like the conversation about who gets to play the flute. Goemon just makes that decision like, yeah, Ibisumaru, I'm sorry, you just can't be the flute guy. Anyway, we're now in Fokipoke Village. A lot of the children here are kidnapped, so there's some depressing music for now until we rescue them. After that, it does change to something happier. By the way, the tourist center here can teleport us back to Awaji Island. It costs 10 Ryo to do so though, so why would you ever do this when you can just fast travel there for free? I mean, 10 Ryo is not a lot at all, it's just the principle of the matter. Anyway, back to Fokipoke. There's not really a whole lot to do here right now. Most of the townsfolk are just talking about the kids being kidnapped, as if that's important or something. This dog here, yes you heard that right, this dog, tells us how the Dogo Hot Springs is currently closed, so I guess we can't go there yet. Some other people are talking about Mount Compira though, one lady even making it extremely obvious like, yeah, you should definitely go here. So, let's do just that. Compira Mountain is once again based off a place of the same name. Well, I've seen it spelled as both Compira and Conpira, so I'm not really sure what the true spelling is, but yeah. It's a series of very long steps leading up to a Shinto shrine. The real-life location takes multiple hours to walk up. This in-game location though? Maybe like 5 minutes, if even that. I do like the music here though, it's pretty groovy. At the midway point up, there's a coffee house. I walk in just to unlock the fast travel, but yeah, there's really not a lot going on here. After we make it to the top, we get some chill, ambient sounds again. It's very quiet and peaceful by shrines, not to mention one's high up in the mountains, so this is very fitting. Next to the shrine are a couple buildings. Let's check them out. The one on the left contains nothing. It's just a guy not making any sense. Does this make me a nihilist? No, the fact that you came to a shrine to offer your blessings means you're probably not a nihilist. The guy in the house on the right has something more worthwhile to say though. He tells us how if we give 5 Ryo to the shrine, we will receive help from God. Well, consider me sold, bud. I got some Ryo to spare for some divine powers. We have now received the Medal of Flames. This lets us fire off a little fireball for 3 Ryo. Wait, I wonder if I can try to offer more Ryo. Will I get anything else? Oh, no shit? fuck. Touche game. This fireball is pretty sweet though. Let's try out some target practice. Oh, fuck yeah, nailed that shit. I feel like I'm playing baseball and throwing the old heater here. I was always taught to follow my throw. Let's try it out. By the way, look at these trees. They're just a flat texture. I mean, hey, it was 97. Anyway, let's head back to Foky Poke and in the direction of the hot springs now. Okay, we are now in Tosa, and dude, another absolute banger. I think this is tied with Yamato as my favorite track in the game. Well, besides the opening and the impact song, those are on their own tier. For the non-vocal tracks though, dude, this is some top tier shit. The atmosphere in this area in general is just great. I've pointed it out numerous times already, but that red amber sky plays such a big role. I wish more games did this. I love a bright blue sky as much as the next person, but switch it up sometimes, games. There's a reason why the original Spyro is considered to have the goated skyboxes. Look at all the colors it uses. Anyway, rant over, let's go to the next screen. Vine Bridge is a bridge supported by ropes. The game tells us to slow down and to be quiet if you want to pass, but honestly, as long as you move and jump fast enough, you're fine. We do want to eventually fall once though to fall on a silver fortune doll. I think it's this blank here. Oh shit, fuck me, right? Let's try again. There we go, now that's it, kid. The next screen brings us to Io. This is where the hot springs are at, but yup, it's still closed. There is a small hole next to the entrance though. Interesting. There's a coffee shop on the hill nearby, so let's check it out. Wait, I want to see if I can jump on this fence first. Cool, that was mildly fun. Alright, now let's go to the coffee shop. This old guy says, you could probably fit a dwarf in that small hole. Yeah, you could probably fit a lot of things in that hole. The girl next to him says, oh, I think I saw a dwarf in Zazentown. Well, off to Zazentown we go. Oh, I guess I haven't looked at Yai's crawling animation yet. Nice. Alright, so our friend Ushiwaka is actually the dwarf we need to talk to. He says if you go to the Golden Temple and eat 8 of their dumplings, you can get the power to shrink. Okay, we agree to meet him over there. Look at the little guy go. He won't talk to anybody but Abisumaru, so it's finally Homeboy's time to shine. We're now in a mini-game where we have to collect 8 dumplings under a certain time limit. We also have to avoid enemies and to occasionally take shelter from this whatever the fuck this is. As with most mini-games in this game, it's pretty easy and not that difficult. I did cut it quite close at the end though. Aw dude, what a risk, but it paid off. Alright, we now have the power to shrink. This will help us on small walkways and through small holes. We can't attack when small though, so something to consider. Using it at the hot springs, we can now finally get through. This next section requires some more use of it. I like these little flamethrower enemies. By the way, I like that they actually have a little hot springs-like area. There's no reason to come back here as there's no items or anything, but just the fact that they included it is pretty cool. Near the end, we reach some star blocks, so it's time for Goemon. Oh man, I'm gonna fast forward this, but times like this can show just how bad the camera is. This was kind of infuriating. Alright, come on, you bastard. Alright, there we go. Look at how easy I connect to the others though. Once you get in a groove, things are fine. It's just getting in that groove. Alright, we are finally at the second dungeon, the Ghost Toys Castle. To even get in, we need to light these torches with the Metal of Flames, so good thing we got that. Now I'm sure a lot of you are probably thinking, damn, about time for the second dungeon. And yeah, I get that, I totally agree. In some aspects, Mystical Ninja has very odd pacing. I mean, the pacing in the actual game is great. It's fantastic even. There's very little loading times, there's little dialogue, there's minimum backtracking thanks to fast travel, gameplay is fast, and overall, it's just always fun. It's just the pacing between the castles and the upgrades are really weird and inconsistent. Like after we complete this castle and before starting the third one, it's like maybe 20% of that previous stretch. I'll elaborate on this further, but for now, let's tackle this castle. Ghost Toys Castle starts off pretty easy and fairly similar to the difficulty of Oedo Castle. Platforming's not too tough, and many rooms have water in case you fall. It did come in handy here when I had to walk across this small walkway as mini Ibisumaru. Well, the second time does the trick. Oh yeah, I don't know if I've mentioned the gold fortune dolls yet. These immediately increase your hearts by 1. No 4 pieces needed. Yeah, they're basically the equivalent of heart containers in Zelda. Unlike Zelda, they never come after a boss though. It's an interesting choice, but I don't mind it. Anyway, the first part of this castle is all about turning on the power to the crane machine so we can get this camera. The crane game itself is kind of annoying just because it moves slow, so in the chance that you miss it, you're kind of waiting for a bit. I think it took me like 3 tries, but eventually the camera is secured. This is a weapon for Ibisumaru. Well, I say weapon, but it's really not a weapon in the attacking sense. If we shoot ghosts with the camera, we can then attack them with an actual weapon. It also can occasionally reveal hidden items and pathways. Yeah, kind of similar to the Lens of Truth from Ocarina of Time. This game doesn't really do anything that interesting with it, I will say though. It usually just straight up tells you when to use it. From a combat standpoint, I really don't like it either. Like you gotta hold it down first, then take the picture, then swap it out to an actual weapon. While doing this, you're probably gonna get hit as it takes like a couple seconds. Plus, this doesn't make combat any more challenging or engaging, it just adds more tedium. I'm a firm believer that if a mechanic is more tedious than fun to use, then there's no point in it being there. Anyway, deeper in the castle, things start getting a bit harder. Water is replaced with poisonous water now, so falling down does have some consequence. It only takes away like half a heart at a time though, so you have plenty of time to get out. Oh yeah, I guess I really haven't talked about Ibisumaru's actual weapon. Yeah, I know, like an hour into the video and just now bringing this up. But yeah, he uses a hammer. The range might be the shortest in the game for a regular attack, but it actually moves pretty quick. 3-hit combo like every other character in the game. What else is new? He just doesn't feel as good with the actual platforming. I don't know if he really does move a bit slower and jump a bit lower or if he just feels that way, but I don't know, to me he just doesn't feel as smooth to run and jump around with. This is why I don't really use him too much unless I have to. I like you as a character, homie, you got some good spirit, you just gotta ride the bench. Anyway, in order to get the diamond key, there's this cool pool mini-game. Well, it's actually not as cool as it could be. It doesn't require any aiming on your end. You just hit them and the balls automatically go in. I like the concept though. Alright, with that, it's finally boss time. See what I mean? How the game will just tell you when to use the camera? As the sign said, we instantly use the camera to uncover his weak point. After that, it's a pretty simple fight in terms of strategy. You just dodge his attacks, then you attack his heart once it flashes. Because he just got 2 recent abilities, this feels like Ibisumaru's castle, so I'm gonna keep the homeboy in and let him bring home the dub. The fight starts off incredibly easy, but eventually he starts throwing these bombs and it's like, dude, can you even dodge these? Looking back at footage, maybe you have to shrink down when he does this, I don't know. Better hope you didn't come into the fight low on hearts. Anyway, with enough hammering away, the dude finally goes down. For our reward, we receive the Miracle Flower, in the shape of a flower. Crazy stuff. Then, out pops Colin, or whatever. Yeah, not Baron. As a kid, I always thought these were the same people. I never mentioned him earlier, but he was behind the machine on Koryuta. What an intro indeed. The leader of the Peach Mountain Shogun, Spring Breeze Dancin', is a regular jokester. I don't know who tells worse dad jokes, him or Goemon. He just makes up names for people. He calls Ibisu Maru Antonio and Goemon Fernandez. Why? Because, well, he felt like it. Kinda disappointing, he never gives Yai a name though. Anyway, Dancin' leaves and then Colin mentions their great stage plan. God, Goemon just with an absolute knee slapper here. Before leaving, Colin says don't go to the Chugoku region, so guess where we're going next? Zazen Town, then the Chugoku region. This gate was locked the first time around due to video game logic, but now it is open. Alright, we are now in Kurashiki. It looks really similar to the real-life location, so I think that's cool. I did always think it was kind of an odd decision just to make this a traversal area and not an actual town though. Anyway, there are some cracked doors here that we can't open, so we'll have to come back for them later. At this point, the game kind of opens up a bit. Instead of a linear set of screens, we now have more of a circle of screens, I guess, with each area having multiple exits and them all leading back to each other in one way or another. Some areas that stick out to me are Nagato, I kind of like the whole bridge and gate vibe, and this area. I could try to pronounce this, but I'd rather not sound like an idiot. I think they did a good job capturing the real-life location though. I mean, for Nintendo 64 standards at least. This area has a weird door blocking it, so I guess we can't go through there yet. We can actually find the entrance to the next castle as well, but again, we can't go in. It looks like the door can be destroyed though, so we need to find something to do this. A few screens over in this area called Izumo, there's a coffee shop here. Let's check it out. The people inside are talking about this tube of electricity at the Dune of Inaba nearby. Oh yeah, the batteries for Sasuke. A lot of you were probably thinking, when the hell is he gonna come into play? You got him like hours ago now. Yeah, it is kinda weird you get his body all the way back then, but don't get his batteries until now. Anyway, we're now in the Dune of Inaba. Now your first thought may be, oh cool, the desert section of the game. And well, technically that is true, but in actuality, section might be a generous way of putting it. I took my time exploring here and it still didn't even take 5 minutes. The pacing in this game is so quick that if you blink, you might miss some areas. For some people, it might even be a little bit too quick, leaving some things feeling a little undercooked. I mean, you're just constantly going from location to location. Whether this is a good or a bad thing will be up to you. For me personally, I love it in this game. There's just never a dull moment, things are always fun. I think with a game like Ocarina of Time, the slower pacing works really well because it wants to immerse you into its world and for you to take it seriously. With Mystical Ninja though, it obviously doesn't want you to take it seriously, what with how much it breaks the fourth wall, so yeah, might as well keep it fast and fun. Okay, with that battery secured, it's time to leave the Doom behind. On the previous screen, there's a little confined area on top of this hill. We need to go in there. I love the atmosphere in this place. The scenery is pretty, the music is chill, it's nice. Anyway, what we need to do here is to take a picture of the tree with the camera to reveal a battery at the top. Does anyone even tell you to do this? I remember getting stuck here as a kid. Maybe the people talking about the Dune and the battery at the coffee shop had their dialogue changed? I don't know, I didn't talk to them again. Anyway, we have to go to the top of the tree and the second battery is ours. Finally, our main man Sasuke is back in action. Man, I love this little dude. Wiseman is Sasuke's inventor and pretty much like his dad, so he doesn't take too kindly to the news that his house has been destroyed and that he's been missing ever since. We tell him it was those Peach Mountain guys, so he's like, alright, let me at him. And just like that, we have joined forces with the Mechanical Ninja. He can throw out bombs that can destroy cracked walls, so yeah, pretty handy. Other than that though, Sasuke is a fan favorite for good reason. He just feels great to play. He's quick, he's agile, he's got some decent range, and he's just a fucking man. I mean look, he can attack with his hair. You other characters aren't doing that. But yeah, with Sasuke in the squad, we can now bomb down those walls in Kirishiki, so let's do that. We got a golden fortune doll and a silver fortune doll waiting for us. And you know what? Let's actually take this time now to collect some others that we missed earlier. Let's start with going to Foky Poke so we can play the cool new song. This one is kinda hard to see, but yeah, you gotta shrink down to get it. I do appreciate these less obvious ones. Zazentown is another good example. This little area always seemed very peculiar, so let's try hitting this. Aha, nice. I love when games reward you for interacting with your surroundings. We got a few more fortune dolls to grab, but I don't really feel like listing them specifically. I mean, you guys get the idea, right? Fortune doll here, fortune doll there, yada yada yada. After getting this last one requiring mini Abisumaru, it's time to tackle the Festival Temple Castle. Yeah, so I'm gonna be honest, this is probably my least favorite castle in the game. I have no idea if that's an unpopular take or not. I used to think Ghost Toys Castle was my least favorite, but after this most recent playthrough, yeah, it's Festival Temple. It's really not that bad, I guess. It's just kind of confusing to navigate at times and a little too long for my taste. It's easily the longest in the game. Considering the pre-castle stretch is by far the shortest in the game, I guess the castle, being as long as it is, does kind of balance that out. Because it is the longest and probably the hardest dungeon as well, I could see how it could be some people's favorite for that though. For me, I just like the exploration more. You know, the stuff in between the castles. With that said, all the castles are still fun, I'm just an exploration guy. Even though we just got Sasuke and got Yae a while ago, this castle is centered around Sasuke, which is kind of weird. Like, yeah, the 4th dungeon is centered around Yae, but still, the order is just, you know, I don't know, it doesn't really make sense. Anyway, later in the dungeon, Sasuke acquires a new weapon, the Kunai of Severe Cold. This is another ranged weapon for Sasuke. I like it a lot better than the bombs though. The bombs are slow, don't go very far, and have a little arc to them. These throwing ice daggers though, they fire straight and are fast as hell. Oh yeah, they also freeze enemies and moving platforms. We can even hold it down to fire off 3 at once, for 3 Rio of course. Which on that note, don't worry about hoarding money and never using ranged abilities. Rio is really easy to come across in this game. The coins that some enemies drop are worth 5 Rio, so with most ranged attacks only taking up 1 Rio, you're still probably going to be in a net positive. Oh yeah, speaking of enemies dropping stuff, Ibisumaru gets a new weapon here as well, the Meat Saw Hammer. This ensures the item an enemy drops will be a dumpling, restoring health. This could actually be pretty helpful, but I'm not gonna lie, I didn't use it once the entire game. Kinda just forgot about it, honestly. Speaking of forgetting, I haven't mentioned this until now, but yeah, all the dungeons have progressing music to where the deeper you go, the more instruments get added. For all you keen listeners, you probably already noticed this during the previous castle sections. Not a lot of games do this, especially back then, so Mystical Ninja definitely deserves some credit for that. I mean, the OST was unanimously praised, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I really do think it's the best on the entire system. That's a bold statement, I know, but I don't know, man, it's just really that good. Alright, so the room before the boss has these giant rotating fish platforms. This was always a memorable section to me. It's just fun. With that cleared, it's time to face the boss. Again, this sign tells you exactly what to do. Yeah, I'm just gonna say it, kind of a weird choice to give us a ghost boss right after we just did a dungeon literally called Ghost Toys Castle. It's all good though, not like this game makes sense anyway. Alright, so the boss is split up into 3 phases, and the first 2 are super easy. Well, normally. For some reason, I was an absolute dumbass and kept trying to use the newly acquired ice kunai to hit those little plates back instead of his regular weapon, and yeah, it did not work that well. I mean, what the hell was I thinking? Was I high or something? Well, maybe actually, but yeah, this was pretty painful to watch back. I think my mindset was, oh, I have to use the new weapon on the boss probably, and no, don't do that. Once I finally switched to weapons, I had no problem at all hitting the plates back. Only took over half my hearts to get there though. Jesus. As long as you hit the plates back and keep moving forward, you cannot get hit. I should have gone through these first two phases unscathed, but you live and you learn. The third phase is where it actually does get kind of hard. He throws out a shit ton of plates and they're all random and explode upon impact. It lasts like 10 seconds too. You can get hit multiple times per cycle. And then you have to hit the plates back while still trying to dodge. You're probably gonna get hit at least once during this process. Because I wasted so many hearts earlier, I was kind of getting a little worried here. But finally, with one last hit back, Phantom Ganon goes down. Oh shit, wrong game. After beating the actual boss, we get the Miracle Star, in the shape of a star. Then, a new member of the Peach Mountain Shogun shows up, Sharon. They mention how the barrier blocking Kyushu is now down, so that's pretty interesting. But wait, who's this? Yeah, Kitty Lily and Spring Breeze Dancin' sure know how to make an entrance. She tells us how she's a big star and will be performing on stage soon, that stage being Kyushu. Before leaving, I like her little bit about her asking Sharon to grab her some makeup. So yeah, with that wrapped up, all signs point to Kyushu. Let's go there. We get a cool little cutscene here, so I'm gonna let it play out. Enjoy. Yeah, so Kyushu's kind of gone now. Not really sure what to do now. Yeah, I suggest going to the fortune teller, and that's not a bad idea. The good old Plasma Man tells us that we need to go to Mount Fear in the cold region to the north. However, we must undergo a training session in Oedo Town first. Alright, let's go to Oedo Town and find someone to train us. Yeah, I don't really know where to go, so let's ask around. Are you my new master? Are you gonna show me the way of the rice ball? Oh, well, thanks for the words of encouragement at least. Some other people, though, are mentioning how a new resident has moved into my neighborhood. Let's go check it out. One thing I really like is how NPC dialogue changes throughout the game. It's a nice attention to detail that I appreciate. Oh yeah, I guess I never visited them until now, but the Lord and Princess Yuki moved in close by as well. They don't really have much to say though. Anyway, this lady outside mentions how the new resident has opened up a muscle gym, so let's go pump some iron. Apparently, this training will help us push the metal box. Yes, singular. You can probably guess what we're about to do. Another minigame. This one has us throwing these boxes at these things to prevent the balloons from being popped. You have to constantly manage all of them by rotating around. It kinda reminds me of the dragon feeding minigame from Chrono Cross. Similar concept at least. It's not that hard, it's just sort of long. Like, did this minigame need to be 90 seconds? I feel like 60 would have been fine. Anyway, after completing it, we get the sudden impact power. This lets us move heavy thing. It also doubles our attack power for a period of time. However, the damage we take is also doubled. An eye for an eye, I guess. Alright, so you remember that one beach area all the way back from the beginning of the game? That's where we need to go next. And you remember that metal box we couldn't push? Well, now we can with the power of the Super Saiyan? Yeah, step aside, Super Sonic. You're not the only Super Saiyan ripoff around here. Okay, now we're in this tunnel, and it's actually the most elaborate tunnel in the game. We've got multiple screens, moving platforms, a switch to hit, and yeah, we've come a long way from the basic corridors. Alright, we are now in a snowy area, hell yeah. And unlike the desert, we get the snow for this entire section of the game. Anyway, let's head north. This brings us to Festival Village, one of the coziest spots in the whole game. The music here is absolute peak. The more I think about it, the more I think it's tied with Zazentown for me. And in combination with the forever moonlit sky, oh man, what an atmosphere. I will say though, again, kind of weird that we go to a place called Festival Village right after we finish up a castle called Festival Temple. Wouldn't it have made more sense to come here before then? Come to think of it, that stretch before Festival Temple is the only part of the game where you don't discover a new town. Well, before the second castle, we get 2 towns. This all adds to why that third part of the game is easily my least favorite. It just feels rushed, unfocused, and a little sloppy. Anyway, enough looking to the past, let's focus on the present. Talking to the townspeople, we learn there's a witch living on Mount Fear. However, we also learn we can't get around Mount Fear yet as a giant boulder is blocking a path on the backside. You remember Mokube, the pipe maker though? We just so happen to run into his brother and he tells us that he's improved his skills. Well, you know what that means, all the way back to Mount Fuji. Alright, I didn't say this earlier, but man, the Ice Kunai really is my favorite weapon in the game. I mean, look at this shit, this shit's fun as hell. The hitbox is nice and generous too. Anyway, once we finally make it to the summit, Mokube denies us some coffee, then upgrades our weapons. Now our weapons are level 2. This increases not only the attack power, but the range as well. Oh yeah, Yai can also now use a sword shield. It blocks projectiles and looks pretty cool. With that said, I never really use it because, I mean, you can get out of the way just as easily. Alright, so with our weapons now improved, let's go back to Festival Village and head towards Mount Fear. The front part of Mount Fear is inaccessible because it's too icy, so we have to go to the backside. There's that boulder blocking our way, but aha, not anymore. I like how it pans up to the sky for maximum dramatic effect. Mount Fear is not too fear-inducing from a gameplay standpoint though. It's kind of disappointing if I'm being honest. For being a late game area, there's no challenge here whatsoever. I mean, yeah, there's some ghosts, but you can just run past them. There's no platforming at all, we just climb a few ladders and that's it. Oh well. At the top is the witch's hut. Let's go in. Apparently, the witch has the power to let us talk to the old wise men. No, just for a small fee of 300 Rio, of course. Well, I guess witches gotta eat too. We tell the wise men we want to save Omitsu and Kyushu, but we don't know how. Thankfully, the wise man, being a wise man, has the knowledge we need. Kyushu is in outer space, and we can get there by collecting the 4 miracle items and taking them to the stone circle at Ugo. Yeah, 80% through the game, and we're just now getting a reason for the miracle items we've been collecting. Well, I guess that's that. Now where? Back to Festival Village, I guess. Talking to some more townspeople, we come to find that there's a mermaid power that we can learn. Very interesting. You know the initial entrance to the village? We need to go back to that screen. If we take a right, there's another tunnel we can go in. This one isn't near as intricate as the last one though. We can just walk the whole way through. On the other side, we arrive at the Waterfall of Kagon. Yup, you guessed it, another real-life location. We can actually come here before visiting the witch, but if we do, the game just straight up tells you, yeah, you need to come back later. This puts us in another minigame where we have to climb the waterfall. There is also a time limit, and we have to avoid these, whatever these things are. It's not that bad, but look at this luck ahead at the top, good lord. After completing it, we get the power of the mermaid. Any body of water we can now go under. This makes way for a lot of new fortune dolls we can now get, but we'll do that later. I will get the one in Festival Village now though. I love this new area it brings us to. So cool. Speaking of new areas, we need to go back to Mount Fear, but this time head out the other exit. On this screen there is a lake and another exit that leads to the stone circle. We need to go into the lake and use our newly acquired mermaid power. Under here there's a switch we need to hit to unlock this gate. Going through that gate brings us to the Japan Sea. I guess I haven't mentioned how swimming controls yet, but yeah, it actually feels pretty good. Dare I say, some of the best I've ever felt from that generation. Like dude, I love Banjo-Kazooie, I even 100% beat it last year, but fuck swimming in that game. Swimming here though feels pretty responsive, like I can turn around on a dime. We also get a charge attack to take out enemies. It gets the job done fine. Before going to our destination, there is a fortune doll we can grab here real quick. If we keep mermaiding around, we'll eventually come across a submarine. Okay, we are now in the Gourmet Submarine Castle, my favorite castle in the entire game. It has my favorite castle music too. The theme of this dungeon is food, and it's awesome. We have a sushi conveyor belt, bowls of ramen, rice balls, and yeah, all types of Japanese cuisine. This part of the game always makes me hungry. Kinda sucks, this is probably the shortest dungeon in the game though. Well, this and the first one probably. It's legit like half the length of Festival Temple. On the bright side I guess, it does give the castle phenomenal pacing and make it a blast to play. It's the most precise platforming we've had yet. With no double jumping in this game, you really gotta make sure you're on point. Nitro Rad approved. Oh yeah, I didn't mention this earlier, but there also is a ledge grab that does come in handy sometimes. Anyway, this dungeon is all about Yai. We have to use her mermaid powers a lot, and she gets a new weapon, the Yai Bazooka. This is a ranged weapon that can either fire 1 bullet or 3 shots at once. It also has the ability to lock on, but I gotta be honest, I never really got it to work. Like look, I was trying here, but it just wouldn't lock on for whatever reason. I don't know if I was doing it wrong or whatever, but yeah, I don't know. I'm probably doing it wrong. It also has a very slight delay when pulling it out, so it's a little bit slower as well. I like the bazooka as a concept, but yeah, I don't really use it that much. If I ever want to use something ranged, I'm just going to Sasuke's Ice Kunais. A minute ago, I said this dungeon was all about Yai, and well, that's mainly true, but we do have to use the other characters as well. There's plenty of star blocks for Goemon to use his chain pipe on, and we even have to call upon Ibisumaru's shrinking power, plus his wind-up camera as well. Again, these signs just tell you when to use it. I do wish the game did something more interesting with it. Like cool, the game tells us to use it, and now it's no different than any other room. Yeah, it's a pure gimmick all the way, but it's all good. But yeah, overall, the dungeon's a good time. I do love it. Well, time to tackle the boss. Before we can do that, another member of the Flake Gang shows up, this one being named Porin. We ask them, where's the miracle item at, bucko? And they're like, oh, I actually dropped that shit back in the Zazentown. That's what I'm saying, man, Zazentown is used so much, I love it. Before we can leave though, Kitty Lily appears. Not too far behind her is Spring Breeze Dancin'. They do this whole bit where Dancin's like, oh, I haven't been in that many scenes yet, and my name is Dancin', not Dancine, and yeah, it's kind of stupid, but also kind of endearing too. They basically say and accomplish nothing and then leave. Porin follows close behind, however not before initiating the self-destruct. Yeah, this is a one-time dungeon, hence why there weren't any fortune dolls in here. Well, there's only one way to get out of this predicament. We gotta call upon our good friend Impact. Yeah, it's been a while since the last Impact fight, right? I won't play the theme song again, even though I want to, but yeah, I do love how the game does play it again. Anyway, we get some more Impact, smashing and dashing before the boss fight begins. Being in the water, I wonder who we're gonna fight. Okay, Charming Mermaid, maybe the biggest lie of the century. What is this half-man, half-fish monstrosity? I like how someone back in Festival Village alluded to this. Nice foreshadowing. Out of all the Impact fights, I actually found this one to be the easiest in the game. The first phase is above water, and yeah, it's pretty easy. I think I only got hit like maybe once or twice. The second phase, on the other hand, is underwater, and it's a bit harder. He throws these whirlwinds at you, among other stuff. If you have enough fuel from the first phase though, you should be fine. And with one final punch, this weird mermaid creature goes down. Impact's gotta take off for a movie in France, and yeah, now we're back in the snow. Before we go back to Zazentown, let's grab some fortune dolls with a new mermaid power. There's one at the waterfall I forgot to get earlier, so let's do that now. Oh, it's actually a gold one too. Nice. There's another one in Ghost Toys Castle we can get. Very cool. And there's also one in Yamato. This gives the game some slight Metroidvania elements, which I do like. I guess you could also consider it backtracking, but to me, not all backtracking is created equal. Like, to compare it to another game from that generation, I'm gonna pick on Spyro 2 a bit. Throughout the game, you unlock new abilities that can be used in previous levels. However, sometimes it'll make you do an entire level over again, or at least another mission, just to get to that part. It's actually pretty lame and kinda kills the pacing at times. By the way, after 100% completing them all last year, I think Spyro 2 is the weakest in the original trilogy. Fight me in the comments. But yeah, in Mystical Ninja, with fast travel, you maybe have to backtrack for like a minute. It's not bad at all. Plus, these are cool locations. I want a reason to go back. Anyway, with that collected, let's go back to Zazentown. Who should we talk to? Oh yeah, Benkei always had a lot of items. I mean, he literally had Sasuke. Let's go ask him. Well, I guess he can't help us, but he knows someone who can. The Collector, Kihachi. He lives in the center pond in Zazentown, so let's go there. What the hell is this thing? Oh, it's a water imp, otherwise known as a Kappa, the same thing that Bowser and Koopas are based on. We ask him if he has the miracle item, and he does. He's not going to give it away for free though, no. We must trade him his favorite food. What is his favorite food, you ask? I don't know. Let's try talking to him again. Oh, a cucumber. Where do we get a cucumber though? Ah, the priest's son, got it. Let's go to the Golden Temple. I guess the priest's son is watching the big fire at Mount, Nyoigatake, I think. However, in order to meet him, we need to undergo some more training first. The priest gives us a key which unlocks a warehouse in Bizen, Kirishiki specifically. Fast forward to there and yeah, the store was always conspicuous. I like how the trainer's wife or whatever is just sleeping here. Anyway, we now have another minigame, this one being a vertical platforming challenge. It's fairly simple, but I actually did fall a couple times trying to get used to the depth perception. Actually, yeah, looking back, I cut this really close. We can now use the power of the Super Jump. This ability kicks ass. If Sasuke wasn't already the best character, he definitely is now. As you can probably guess, this does open up more fortune dolls to get. Some of these I already grabbed earlier because I kinda cheated the game and did some clever jumping, but normally this does open up at least a few of them. Alright, now let's go to Mount Nyoigatake. Yeah, the fire doesn't look quite as cool as the real life thing, but I respect the effort. We ask him for one of his cucumbers and he's like, oh yeah, I got one for ya. For 800 smackaroonies though. 800 Rio? Bro, what? Oh, it's a quality cucumber though, like that makes it worth it. So I can just get a banana, call it a quality banana and sell it for like 20 bucks? Yeah! Maybe I'm onto something about discovering the secret of marketing and capitalism. Anyway, let's go back to Kihachi. With that trade complete, we now have the Miracle Snow, the last of the 4 miracle items. Before we take them all to the stone circle, let's wrap up a few last things. There's one more fortune doll I did not grab all the way back at the beginning of the game. It's in Oedo Castle. You actually have to beat it first and come back for it later. Some room gets opened up that wasn't open earlier and yeah. It kinda drove me crazy figuring out which one I missed, but oh well, finally got it. With that, the last fortune dolls we need to grab are in outer space, so we're good for now. We're about to get to the point of no return, so I'm gonna do a little rapid fire of stuff I didn't say or show earlier. Since I never actually died, I do want to show you guys the game over screen. It's worth checking out, trust me. Yeah, I've never forgotten this, so now you guys won't either. The staying at an inn animations are worth looking at too. There's different ones depending on the room and the character. I like how everyone is struggling hard in the bronze room except for Ibisu Maru. Yai is shaking, Sasuke takes his head off, and there's Ibisu Maru almost butt-ass naked. When life's got you down, be like Ibisu Maru. Let's see, what else is there? Oh yeah, you can control the height of your jump by how hard you press the button. This is a really nice touch. I should have pointed that out earlier. What I also should have mentioned earlier is a correction about the camera. If you already typed up a comment correcting me on this, go ahead and delete. Well, actually, no, don't delete it. We kinda need the engagement. But yeah, if you hold a shoulder button down, you can control it to an extent, but even still, it doesn't really work that well. Plus, like half the time I tried doing this, it got stuck. Look. The almighty eye, she sees all. Okay, let's finally head to the stone circle. You know that lake we went to in the snow region? We gotta go back to that screen and go out the other exit this time. Pretty cool vibe here. I like it. So this Pimo god, or Pamo, or I don't know, something like that, appears and offers to take us to outer space. This is the official point of no return. Well, we've come too far to back out now. Let's go save Omitsu and Kyushu. Beam me up, Scotty. Oh, we're just sorta here in the last castle already. I feel like there should have been a cutscene or a brief outer space segment or I don't know, it feels kind of rushed. The whole second half of the game kind of does in general. I have no evidence of this, but it almost feels like they were running out of time a bit near the end. This was very common in the 90s, so I wouldn't be surprised. As far as the actual castle goes, it's it's okay. It's split up into 2 parts, and this first part is not really that hard, or that long for that matter either. It's a little over 10 minutes, and there's a couple platforming parts that are kind of challenging, but yeah. If I'm being honest, it is a little bit of a letdown. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. The castle itself isn't bad, it's probably like my third or maybe even second favorite. It's just that for a final dungeon, I expected a little bit more. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to say here, guys. Let's just move on. After the first part of the castle, we are now in Sogen Town. Well, it's kind of a town, I guess. There's still enemies wandering around and the town is spread out by pathways, so it's a little weird. I would have preferred a fully fleshed out town instead of this kind of weird hybrid thing. Maybe it was a time issue, I don't really know, it's all good though. Talking to this one girl, we find out there's been a Peach Mountain musical playing every day. Shit, I guess it's kind of popular too? Ah, there's our girl Omitsu. Man, are we happy to see her. These Peach Mountain guys have gone too far. We can't let them do what they did to Kyushu to the rest of Japan. We ask Omitsu where Danson and Lily are at, and she tells us they're behind some doors up ahead. I guess the doors can't be easily opened though. Ibisumaru makes some dumb joke and Sasuke's all like, dude, why are you doing this bit right now? Apparently, Omitsu knows someone who can help us, but she won't say who. Girl, why are you being so secretive? She does at least say they're at the restaurant, so let's go there. Wait, Wiseman's alive? What? I thought he died. I like how the game even calls itself out about this. Goemon's all like, wait, how do we talk to your spirit at the witch's house then? Yeah, best not to ask questions, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess Wiseman was captured by the Peach Mountain guys, and he's the one that gave them mechanical robots and an instant stage beam in exchange for a muscle car poster and 5 car magazines. In the Japanese version, these are adult magazines, so yeah, this entire game's plot was set into motion by a horny old man. This is why I called Wiseman the Master Roshi of this game's universe. We tell him the Peach Mountain guys blew up his house, and he's not even really mad about that, but more mad about his magazine collection being gone. Homie is down bad. My mans would really thrive in today's internet era of Coomer brain rot.
Hey, nobody's seen you in days.
I've just been, checking out some of that internet.
Yeah!
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just gonna go and check my mail over there.
Wiseman then upgrades our weapons to level 3. This gives them a golden color and holy shit, look at that range. I never noticed this as a kid, but yeah, the range is ridiculous now. I will say though, this upgrade is almost pretty much entirely pointless. There's maybe 10 minutes left of the game on foot, and this brings me to a couple complaints. These weapon upgrades are not spaced out well. We have level 1 weapons for like 80% of the game, and then we get level 2 and 3 weapons for the last like 20%. In this case, for level 3, like the last 1%. Yeah, they should have done better with this. Secondly, there's no more on-foot bosses left in the game. Yeah, the last one was in Festival Temple. That's it for the game. This is such an odd design choice, I don't get it. I'll rant about this a bit more during the final boss, but yeah, let's go tackle the final part of the castle. Okay, kind of a strange way to start this final gauntlet of the game. What are these enemies? I do want to point out, the track here absolutely kicks ass. I do think the dungeon itself could have given us a little bit more, but at least the music definitely delivers. Very, very fitting for this final stretch. It's kinda too bad it's not that long. It's even shorter than the first part. It's probably even easier too. There's some precise platforming, but not that much. It's also just far too forgiving, I feel. Like, look at this one part where you have to turn Super Saiyan. You're supposed to push these blocks on the flame, but you can also just totally skip by it if you want, as we have so many hearts and touching the lava only takes away half a heart at a time. Like, what's the point of this? They should have made this part be over a black abyss and not fire. It would still be extremely simple and not really that fun, but at least we would have to actually do it. By the way, even if you fall into an abyss, you only lose half a heart, not even a life. Yeah, the game is maybe a little too forgiving. On the topic of hearts, there's a couple last fortune dolls to grab here. One of them is behind this painting of Spring Breeze dancing, and the other is near the very end. There were some others in the first part too, but I didn't mention them. Again though, what's the point of this? Like, okay, we get 2 more hearts, but there's no final on-foot boss, so cool? Why am I getting an extra heart now when in 1 to 2 minutes it won't even matter? Truly one of the life upgrades of all time. Before the final boss, we have this last rotating room. It's kind of a fun little screen. Alright, it is finally final boss time. Let's take a brief moment to look at the menu and compare it to where we first began. Man, we've sure come a long way. Okay, let's head in. Upon entering, of course, we're greeted by Danson and Lily. Well, greeted by the wrong name, but greeted nonetheless. I guess they're about to show us their secret powers and make us die-hard fans. And to do that, they're gonna perform a musical number. I mean, is anyone surprised? They've been talking about this shit all game. Okay, that was something. I respect the craftsmanship, but out of the 3 vocal tracks in this game, it's definitely my least favorite, for sure. They did seem to win over Ibisu Maru though. I guess they activated a time bomb and left, so we should probably get out of here. How are we gonna do that, you ask? Oh, I think you know. I didn't play the Impact song last time, but this is the final boss, dude. We gotta get hyped. Play that shit out. Okay, I can't be the only one that sings along to this shit, especially near the end. The second half of the song, when the kids chanting comes in, oh dude, it's so good. Anyway, after this last dashing segment, we jump into space. Okay, let's do this. Instead of a regular Impact fight, it's more of a Star Fox fight actually. We just have to shoot down these weak points. This was very common back then for platforming games to have a final boss that uses a different gameplay style than anything else you've played in the game so far. Like, I get it, they do this to make it feel different and epic, but I'd rather be tested on skills I've been practicing the entire game. Again, why could we not get a final on-foot boss? I don't get it. The on-foot bosses honestly really weren't that well designed, but it's still a missed opportunity. With all that nitpicking aside, this boss is actually really fun. I do like it. Maybe I should shut the fuck up sometimes. I guess bottom line, as long as it's fun, that's the most important thing. With enough blasting away, we eventually sink their battleship. True final boss, the Fairy of Love and Dreams. That last boss may have been simple, but this guy, not so much. If you read the manual and know the impact controls, it's probably not that bad, but I did not do that, so yeah. The actual battle mechanics are fairly in-depth, however, I do not do it justice here. He has 2000 HP, so just using basic attacks, this takes a while. I would just punch him whenever I could and throw some Rio to chip away damage here and there. His projectiles are pretty slow and easy to fend off at first, but they get much faster later. Same with his charge attack too. I had kind of a hard time timing this without getting hit. So hard of a time that I did actually die multiple times, I'm not gonna lie. The game lets you try again, giving you more health each time. Die enough times and eventually you'll cap out at 999. Yeah, you don't need to tell me I suck.
I know I do.
I'm not sure if you can try as much as you want or if you're limited to how many lives you had. Probably the latter, but I don't know. Halfway through the fight, he starts doing this really annoying attack where he throws asteroids at you for like 20 seconds. It's not hard, it's just annoying as you can't attack him during this part. It can draw out the fight quite a bit. Eventually, I found out you can attack with your chain pipe, so I just started doing this a lot. I reeled him in one time and punched him too, but I couldn't figure out how to do it again. Oh well. Later I just stopped trying to reel him in as I realized, oh, this does 20 damage per grab, that's not bad at all. It's a lot better than the 5 per Rio. It kind of ended the fight in an anticlimactic way, but hey, a win's a win. Even after losing, Danson won't admit defeat as he can just try again in the future with the instant stage beam. Well, I guess we gotta put him away for good. The name's Goemon, bitch. Don't you forget it. Enjoy the ending, guys. that's Mystical Ninja Starring Goemon. A humorous ending to a humorous game. I do like the actual ending, but I'm kinda whatever about the credits. I guess I'm spoiled a bit by other games we completed for retrospectives last year, like Wild Arms and Brave Fencer Musashi, as they gave you cool concept art. In Mystical Ninja though, we just get random gameplay clips that aren't really that important on their own. Oh well, it's all good. At the end of the credits, it tallies up how many fortune dolls we collected, and we did get them all. This unlocks the consecutive fighting large boss mode, basically just a boss rush for the impact fights. Pretty cool. Maybe I can practice a bit and not be an absolute disgrace in the future. But yeah, final thoughts on the game. 2 hours later, it should come as no surprise how I feel about it. It is an incredible title, and I love it to death. With that said, it is not perfect. Putting down the nostalgia goggles, it does have some flaws, for sure. The camera is not that great. It wasn't great back then, and it's not great now. The impact bosses are well designed, but the on-foot bosses, not really. The game feels a little rushed in the second half and has some odd weapon upgrade pacing. It's also weird there's no on-foot bosses after the third castle. And occasionally, environments do clip here and there. These are really my only criticisms with the game. Meanwhile, on the positives, the game just has so much going for it. The graphics themselves have tons of charm. The cast of characters is memorable. The platforming is fun. The music is god tier. And the game just really makes you feel like you're going on a grand adventure. That feeling and the atmosphere in general is probably my favorite thing about this game. It's just such a joy to exist in this world. It was a time when Konami was really on their A game. You can just tell, so much heart and passion went into this one. It's easily gotta be one of the most charming games I've ever played. I can never really pick an absolute favorite game of all time because it kinda rotates around depending on how I'm feeling. But I can confidently say Mystical Ninja is definitely in my top 5. It's really that good, and I love it that much. It just prioritizes fun above all else and reminds me of a simpler time in gaming. It's kind of a shame we never really got a true follow-up. Don't get me wrong, Goemon's Great Adventure is excellent, but it did go back to the 2D style. The only other 3D Goemon titles never left Japan, and from what I've played, they're not nearly as good. But you know what? It's fine. I'm at least glad we got this one. It's a very special game I'll always hold close to my heart and will come back to replay every now and then. It introduced me to Japanese culture and helped me fall in love with it. I'm very thankful for that. One could even say it's had quite the impact on my life. Come on, did you really think I could end this video without making some lame joke? No. That would not be the Goemon way.
青い海原駆け抜けて走れ全開巨大が叫ぶ俺のハートはダイナモだ今輝かせろクールな瞳行くぜ群がる敵を打ち砕け必殺最強パワーなボヨヨンキック俺はチャーミングインパクト
Alright, and that finally wraps up this long-ass video. I had a lot of fun playing this game and making this video at first, but holy shit did it take a long-ass time. Like 2 months of working almost every day on it. Retrospectives have never really been huge performers for the channel, so this is kind of a gamble. Especially considering last year was our worst year view-wise in a few years. A little disheartening, not gonna lie, because I feel like we put out some of our best videos ever. I would never say we deserve views or anything like that, but I will say if some of our earlier, shittier videos can get hundreds of thousands of views, then I definitely think some of our videos last year had the potential to do a little better. Our videos about early cell shading, PS1 FMVs, imagination in video games, beaches in video games, all did not perform that well unfortunately, despite thinking they had some potential. If you discovered our channel from this video and those sound interesting to you, check them out. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this game? Let us know in the comments. As always, just want to give a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters, and of course an extra special shout out to our top patrons, Chris Carnaccio, Derek Drost, Jesse Spencer, Jay Shaw Drums, Jump Rock, and Cyano. All of your support and generosity is very much appreciated. Other than that, thanks again for watching everyone, and hope you have an awesome day. This is Corbin from Gaming Productions. Until next time.